What is up, guys? Joe Holland here. I am in, I guess you can call this northern Maine. I am fishing today for big white perch. This is one of the biggest and best eating fish. It's one of the best eating, I guess you can call it a pan fish. They're not really like pan shaped like your typical crappie or sunfish, bluegill, anything like that. So they're not in that family. They're more in like the perch family. They look like a striped bass. But it's one of the best eating fish in the entire state of Maine. It has been a staple in the state of Maine for, a couple lifetimes now, longer than I've been alive. And I'm on some really good ones right now. I got a big school. What they're doing is they're pre-spawn. So they want to spawn like in that stream, in that sandy, shallow bay behind me. But they're pre-spawn, so they're staging. Water temp right now on the surface is 65, but a couple feet below I'm sure is 55, and then 10 foot below is in the 40s. So the water temp isn't where they want to be yet, but the fish are really getting ready to spawn. They know it's going to happen any day now. Couple nice hot days. You got some already starting to move in. Males are just spewing spawn. Females are full of eggs right now. So I'm going to try to get a bucket of these for Donnie. I threw a couple in the live well already in the bucket for to bring home. But I'll show you what I am catching them on. I'll show you what I'm doing. So if you guys ever want to try this yourself, then it'll make it a little bit easier for you. But I'm using a little swim bait. I guess it's hooked. Oh, man. Shoot. Well, I got a hook stuck in the side of my shirt. It's got a really sharp hook. I'm going to see if I could set this phone down for a minute. We got some technical difficulties. It's got me in like the armpit, I think. Yep, there it is. All right, let's see if we can get that out. You guys didn't think you were tuning in for this, did you? All right, I see it. All right, we got it. Cool. All right, so that's what we're using right there. That's a triple tickle tail by Kalen's, and it's basically just a tiny little 2-inch swim bait. I'm using a fluorescent one right here because I'm on a couple different schools of big white perch, and I got a little tiny tungsten jig head. This one's already caught a handful, so it's getting mangled up pretty good, but it's got a ton of action. It's super soft. They grab it and they hold on to it. All right, so that's what I'm using, and then I'll show you guys how I'm finding them. Let me get this ready for when we get on them. Bear with me, guys. No cameraman today. And we're coming to you raw from the water, live, no editing, nothing like that. All right, so I'm back. All right, so I'm gonna show you guys what I'm doing. Can I switch this around? Maybe, let's try to switch that around. Okay, cool. Yeah, so we're using Livescope. We're in roughly 12 foot. We're on the first drop, and every one of these dots is a white perch. Every single one of those is a white perch. Perspective mode, this is forward mode right here. So we're looking, those aren't really gonna feed. You gotta get them up off the bottom to feed. So what we're looking for are the elevated ones like that. Those are some pretty big ones right there, so. All right, so I'm gonna see, what's the best way to set this camera up? Let me think for a second, guys. I'll get you the angle from the back. Sorry about that. But, so we got some about 50 foot away that way. And what I'm doing is I'm basically throwing this little tiny swim bait by Kalen's down there. And I'm just slowly moving it, twitching it. And every movement you have on that, every one of those little tentacles moves, the tail moves, it's swimming away from the school. And then if you can get that school elevated up off the bottom, that's usually, you're gonna get a bite. And these guys fight as hard as any fish, pound for pound, in the state of Maine. They use their shoulders, kind of like a tuna, and they're shaped a little bit like a tuna. So they fight somewhere between like a striped bass and a tuna. So here we go. We should be able to get one here pretty soon. Got a little wind picking up. That doesn't help when you're finessing. I got 3-pound test, and I got a school on me right now. All right, I'm kind of in the school right now. This is pre-spawn. This is a pre-spawn bite for these white perch, and they get big. These are good sized fish right here. The bite's actually pretty light, and you kind of just work it through the school. And like I said, I got a little 3-pound test line on there we go, on an ultralight rod. Oh, 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 we got a good one, guys. They're gonna feel some drag. He's shaking his head a lot, so usually those aren't the big ones. The big ones just kind of turn their shoulders. But we are hooked up. I'm gonna actually loosen the drag because this guy's got some pretty good thrusts on him. And the whole school's gonna come up with him. Get a little leverage on him. Size-wise, he's a little bit below average, but it's still a really, really nice one, and it's definitely eater size. And you can't really horse these things in with 3-pound test. But that little triple tickle tail has been smashing them for me on a tungsten head. Yeah, look at how fat and beefy that fish is. And that one's got like, I'll try to swing him in. That one's got some gold on him. But that is a beefy white perch right there. I got one over 15 inches. Let's measure this one. He's probably only gonna go like 13. He's 13 and a half. So once they get like 12, oh, get over here. They're very sharp too. You want to be careful handling these things. But once they get over 12, they start getting like a humpback on them, and then they start really putting the meat on for the feed. But there's a white perch for you guys. That's a lot golder than they normally are. I don't know if that's a color phase like during the spawn or what, but that is just, look how thick he is right through there. If you guys know how good this meat is, then you see that thick shoulders on them. And they're kind of like a striper, but they fight really hard. I think I got enough to bring home for Donnie and for myself and maybe a couple other people. So I'm gonna let him go. I hate letting perch go because I usually like take the school with them. But there's enough here right now. They're stacked on the pre-spawn bite right now. So we'll get that right back out there. We're trying to get into like a monster. I caught one once here that was over 3 pounds. So we're trying to get back into like a giant, but it's really hard to do with so many eater size ones like that size. There we go. We're hooked up again. Another one. This one's looking a little bit smaller than the last one. Smaller than the average size, but still a good size and definitely an eater. Definitely pulling some drag. 3-pound test. You don't have to go this light, but I'm on a lake where you can see bottom in 20 foot. It's so crystal clear, and oh yeah, that's actually a pretty good sized fish right there. I kind of muscled him a little bit more than normal, but I should retie too pretty soon. Oh no! I should retie. And I try to boat flip him, and look what happened. Classic. All right. Well, that stinks, but it definitely stinks more for the fish than it does for me. Sorry, buddy. So you guys are going to see how I rig these guys. We're going to use a little tungsten ball head like that. And, a little swim bait, little triple tickle tail like that. And going to run that through. Dang it. That was not cool. I knew I had to retie pretty soon. If you guys catch perch and perch like that, you know how sharp they are. And every single spine on their body is like crazy sharp. So, all right, I'm gonna retie and we'll get back after them and hopefully show you guys another fish or two while we're on live. I could probably sit here and whale on these fish all day, but there are some big smallmouth in this lake and some big lake trout too that are calling my name. So I wouldn't mind crossing a few eyeballs on those guys too. I can't really read the comments right now, guys, but if you guys want to leave comments, I will definitely get back to them, to all of them later on. And as always, I get back to everybody. All right, it's a tiny line, but all right, we're tied back up. It's the bass fisherman in me that's always trying to like boat flip or muscle these fish around. Not the best idea in the world, but I'm gonna show you the bait one more time. There it is right there. That's Kalen's little tickle tail swim bait. We got a whole assortment of colors of them and finesse stuff right there, and they seem to be eating this fluorescent one pretty good. Oh, I don't even have to get up. They're sitting right there in front of me. And I'm using the Livescope to stay on the school as the schools move around. And I'm using the Livescope to try to find a little bit bigger school. All right, there's a bite. Doesn't feel big yet, but they do get bigger as they come. Oh, he's tiny. He's tiny. Let's horse him right in. Let's horse him right in. I mean, that's like your standard, that's your standard eater size in Maine right there. You know, he's a lot of, they're sharp, like I said. You grab them right by the gills like this and close their mouth and close the side flaps, and they usually open their mouth for you so you can get your lure back. But I'll measure him real quick. He's 11 inch, and a lot of people eat like 8 inchers, you know, 8 up to 11s, but that's your white perch for you right there, guys. I know there's they're called different stuff in different states, but this is an actual true white perch in the state of Maine. So there you go. How about a couple more? Maybe we'll get into a bigger one. So I can't tighten the drag, Jed. It's only 3-pound test, and these fish fight harder than any bass, any freshwater bass out there. Got him. Well, I mean, I could probably put 6-pound test on and like try to horse these fish and stuff, but what fun is that? I mean, this is so much fun. Get on some light tackle on some hard fighting fish. And the cool thing is you get to watch the school as you fight them too. So, because they stay with each other as you're fighting them in. But they're beat up pretty good. 3-pound test, and we're gonna swing them. Got him. Another perch right there, guys. That one's over 12 incher right there. Really good eater size. Anytime you lip them like that. But there he is, and you can kind of see this one's got on the dorsal fins. You can see those needles. They got like crazy needles sticking up on the dorsal fins. I think you could see it there. And you don't want to get hit by those. They also have a needle right here on the end of the gill plate. They have needles like on every fin. These things are sharp. Careful how you handle them. But we'll throw him back and catch a couple more for you. I'm getting messages coming across that pop up on the device that tell me you got to tighten that drag up, but I really can't, guys, because it's just 3-pound test, you know, and I'd rather not break off. I broke one off already on live. I hate breaking fish off. It's not good for the fish. Got him. So that's what it looks like, guys. Super, super, super crazy school of white perch. If you guys want to catch white perch, go to your local lakes that have them. Right now, they're either spawning or they're pre-spawn like these ones. If they're pre-spawn, get yourself in front of a stream or in front of moving water and look for your first drop-offs. You know, if there's good grass around it, they might actually be hiding in that grass. This is a pretty long one. I'm gonna loosen the drag. How do you like that, Jed? And then, all right, let's get him in. Got him. Yeah, and then look either for your first drop off or your first place where they can hide. And they are feeding, you know, they're feeding hard when they're pre-spawn. You know, so that's another good thick thick white perch right there, guys. Beautiful, beautiful fish right there. Just great eating fish. I'd be keeping them a lot more if I didn't already have a bunch. And I got some really big ones still in the live well, so nice fish right there. Nice white perch, and I'll measure him for you. He goes 13 exactly. So let's get him back and catch another one. How's that sound? One every cast. But yeah, there's a bigger school a little bit further out. We're kind of drifting ever since I started videoing. The wind picked up a little bit and we're drifting a little bit. But yeah, if you guys want to catch yourselves a feed of white perch in Maine or New England, where they're really prevalent, right now they're either spawning or they're pre-spawn. It's one or the other. I don't think they're done anywhere in the state. Maybe southern Maine. But so look for your first drop off. You know, we're in like 12 to 16 foot of water. It's all shallow sandy bay with moving water and a stream behind us. And a lot of times they will run right up the stream to feed. There's a bite. That took way too long. But yeah, got ultralight rod, ultralight line. And man, do they fight. They fight harder than smallmouth, as I said earlier. And you guys know how hard a smallmouth fight. They don't jump, they're not acrobatic. They will come sometimes up on the surface and like roll over on the surface or something like that if you put enough pressure on them. But this is a good fish. Another good fighter, and they just really know how to use their shoulders. He's got a whole school with him. How cool is that? Another big chunker. Wow, that's a good one there. He's got a humpback going. Like I said, triple tickle tail. Kalins. And you can see him spewing a little bit. But there's a nice white perch right there for you guys. Another in that. This one's over 13. He's 13 3/4, so he almost goes 14. Biggest of the day was a little bit over 15, but yeah, there she is right there, guys. Getting a lot of messages. Not fishing from the Ski-Doo, guys. I'll show you the video of what I'm fishing out of in a little bit, give you a little sneak peek. But there's a nice, chunky, healthy white perch right there. I'm going to throw him in the box to take him home. You bear with me. There's my guy. All right, we're back. Oh, there's two big fish in front of me. Those might be smallmouth. We drifted quite a bit off the spot. I do have spot lock, but I haven't tried it yet or learned how to run it. All right, they are about 50 feet away right there according to the Livescope. And the cool thing about this little tiny finesse swim bait like this is as it's falling, it's actually swimming. You know, and the paddle tail's working and all those little legs are working. And that's why I went with this one as opposed to some of the other small swim baits on the market. All right, we got a crazy, wicked school. I want to show you guys this school on the Livescope. So they're like 45 feet away, and I'm going to pan left. There's a couple down there. There they are. Not much to the right, so that's the angle. So I got this mount on my trolling motor, so I'm going to throw it in front of that arrow at about 30 feet away and show you this is how we're catching them. And by we, I mean me. All right, so we're into the school, and hopefully we get a bite here pretty soon for you. Yeah, they're all over me. Anytime you can get perch elevated like this, they're gonna feed. You know, they're up off the bottom for that reason, feed. I'm gonna show you that I can go a cast without catching one. And we were pantsed. Our pants were pulled down on that one, so that's why we didn't get one. I knew something was up. Well, let's try that again. Yeah, anytime you get perch elevated off the bottom, they're way easier to catch when you're working singles on the bottom. All right, we just got into the school. Should be any second now we get a bite. Oh, there's like I think we got like a lake trout or a smallmouth in here driving the school around. They kind of took off in a hurry there. That wouldn't be the worst thing to hook into something that's chasing this school. But these ones might be smaller. I'm gonna slide back towards the edge to the drop off. Yeah, those ones are probably the droids we're looking for in there. Yeah, let's get one more for you guys, and maybe talk a little bit about it and put an end to this slide. There's some over here. They're definitely getting spooked though now. I don't know if it's me. It could be me, but it also could be like a lake trout, a big lake trout in here swimming around. I'd be able to see them on the Livescope, but I haven't seen them yet. And then once they go to the bottom and like cling to the bottom, they get really hard to catch. Usually live bait or something like a gulp or something stinky can pluck them off the bottom. One more. Let's try to get one more for you guys. There's a school back there at about 45 feet behind me, and they stopped taking it easy and just feeding. They're really swimming around now, so they're acting like something's chasing them. But anytime you release perch, it makes it really hard to catch other ones. They're kind of tattletales, and they freak out and they take the whole school with them. So most of the time when you're perch fishing, you're out there for a feed and you're keeping them and you're not letting them go, and they just, they come to the boat following that other fish, and then you could just pluck them and they never get a cast away. But if you're releasing them like I have for the last handful, then it definitely gets harder to stay on them and continue to catch them. So. All right, there's a school, right? We're back on a school about 50 feet that way in the little bit deeper hole right there. So I'm not making it easier on myself by letting them go is what I'm telling you guys. And if you're on perch and you want to get a feed, even if they're a little small, sometimes, in Maine where there's billions of them, they're prevalent, and you can't really hurt them. Sometimes it's not a bad idea to hold on to those little ones for a little bit while longer. There we go. There we go. That was actually a good bite. Oh boy. Off to the races. I'm gonna let you guys hear that drag. These things just pull so hard for their weight. Pound for pound, one of the hardest fighting fish. Oh gosh. Yeah, pound for pound, one of the hardest fighting fish in the state of Maine by far. And you're gonna expect, look at this thing. I am bent on this guy. And he just 100 miles an hour left, 100 miles an hour right. And if they stay down like that, they could be big. So this could be like another one in that 14, 15, maybe bigger. I've seen them as big as 17 here. Nah, he's just a super healthy one. Doesn't look huge, looks just good size, but he's using his shoulders so well. Yeah, nice fish. I might grab him. Ah, you son of a gun. Got me. Ah. Got him. Good one there. Really nice one. Choking that Kalen's swim bait right there. That's the 2-inch model if you guys are interested in those. I'll show you a pack on those in a little bit, but But yeah, there's a big Maine white perch for you. You know, we're not catching 40-inch striped bass here, guys. We're catching white perch. And as far as white perch goes, you know, I've always said anything over 12 is really nice fish. And this one goes 14 and a half. So that's, you know, that's a good fish. And it's through here that matters. You know, there's no real belly meat on a white perch. A lot of people get really upset when they see somebody fillet a white perch because they think they're missing a lot of meat. But there's not a lot of white perch belly meat. All the meat's like through here, you know, and down to the rib cage, and then all the way to the tail. And it's just a pure white, sweet, firm meat. So like if you aren't in love with like how delicate crappie meat is, this is the fish right here you want to eat. Because taste wise, I would put them both the same. You know, crappie and white perch are pretty much in the same ballpark. It's that super clean white meat. I'm gonna keep this fish. That's why I got him out so long. But yeah, that's and the reason they fight so hard is they just turn that shoulder, you know, and they use their gill plate really hard when they're fighting. And really cool fish, you know, hard scales on them. They're pretty scaly fish. You know, I just fillet these. I don't descale them or anything like that, but they show up incredibly well on the Livescope because of how hard those scales are. You know, you get a crazy return on them. But as you can see, that's a nice white perch there, and he's got that snook line on him. You know, I don't know if that's more prevalent while they're spawning or what. We're still on quite a few fish here. I think I'm gonna pretty much kill this this live at about 30 minutes and maybe switch over to some smallmouth bass in a little bit. But I'll throw this guy in the bucket to bring him home. Donnie's gonna eat that guy. Donnie, if you're watching, don't cook any dinner tonight because that's what you're getting for dinner. Get that fillet knife sharpened up. I'll throw him in the box. I'll show you guys a different one. I'll show you guys this one. This one is an absolute pig. They do not get much bigger than that in the state of Maine. This one went over 15 inches, I believe. This was the one. Yeah, he's 15 and a half. They don't get a lot bigger than that. That is pretty big right there. And he's, you know, with a back like that, he's well over 2 pounds. I could weigh him, but that's a really nice humpback white perch. And they get that big humpback on them once they get to a certain length. All right, so that's pretty much going to do it for the catching part of this video. I'll talk a little bit through, you know, what to look for, how to catch these guys, and what I like to catch them on. You can catch them on a bunch of different things. Anytime you get fish that are schooling that hard, then, you know, they're not terribly hard to catch. But this is the bait right here that I smashed on. This is called a triple tickle tail by Kalen's. It's a little swim bait, and I'll show you the actual one I'm using. That one's a different color. Oop. All right, we're back. So the cool thing about this is it has a ton of action. That tail is always moving. So if your bait's falling, as you can see, that thing's swimming. And then it's got like a billion little tentacles on it too that all move as well. So as you can see, like that thing's moving at all times. So it's one of my favorite baits to throw at crappie. I've thrown it at bluegill before too. We're way shallow right now, so I doubt we're gonna catch one. But I also throw it at these white perch, and they just seem to crush it. They'll follow it for a little ways. White perch don't eat like a crappie, you know. They're a little bit more discerning, especially when you're in this crazy clear water. I'm on a lake right now where you could throw a quarter in 20 foot and be able to tell if it's heads or tails when it hits the bottom. But I'm going to show you this bait in the water. All right, so there's the bait right there. And as you can see, very little movement. And that thing is just wiggling like crazy. And that little bit of wiggle to these fish drives them nuts. Like that. And as it's falling, see, it's actually swimming just as hard, if not harder. And I'm using a 3-pound test with a little tiny head. I'm going to let's throw a quarter in, guys. That's heads, that's tails. And let's see what she ends up. We're in, that's actually 8 foot of water right there. And you can see it all the way down. And especially if you had my glasses. That one is heads, it's heads. So if you guys guessed heads, you were correct. But yeah, that's it, guys. I'll tell you, if you guys are just tuning in, I'll tell you what to look for if you guys want to catch big white perch like this. It's one of the best eating fish in the state of Maine. There's a lot of Mainers that have never tried crappie before. I'll tell you, it's by far the best. I'd put it right up there with crappie as far as like a panfish goes. It's a little firmer and not quite as sweet as yellow perch, and it's definitely firmer than a crappie. For my money, I guess cusk is always going to be my favorite, but it's white perch. I'd never turn down a white perch feed. And you could either leave that red line in, you know, like Donnie leaves that red line in and it tastes a little bit fishier, tastes a little bit, it's the blood line. And you could actually taste a little bit more of the fish. If you take that out, it's like some of the just whitest, sweetest meat. But right now, your white perch are getting ready to either spawn or they are spawning. So what you want to look for is you want to try to find some flowing water, like an inlet where there's some moving water, and then go out in front of that and just keep getting closer and closer and closer to it. They're going to spawn in that moving water. They're going to spawn in the brooks, and they bump into each other and spawn. They'll shoreline spawn. But I don't really know a lot of... Oh, there's a nice bass. Wow, huge largemouth. Don't know if you guys can see that or not. Dang. We're in 8 foot of water. Let me throw that little tickle tail out. Yeah, I don't know if he turned or not. I doubt he turned, but that was looked like about a 5-pound bass. Wow, that was pretty cool. I don't think he'll eat this thing. He might. I caught some big smallies on it earlier. Yeah, he knows we're here. Anyway, like I was saying, I'll tell you guys, I'm reeling this in with my hip right now. I'll tell you guys about the spawn. So yeah, so that white perch spawn, what I did is I went to where they should be spawning and they're not spawning yet. So I went to the very first drop off where it goes, I'll show you guys on the screen. It drops down, 10, 12, even deeper out to 20 foot deep. And then there you go right there. And they're staging. What they're doing is they're staging up off the drop, not far from where they're going to spawn. And as you're going to see in a second, that's where they all are right there. And when you get them up off the bottom like that, they're feeding. They're highly susceptible to being caught. And the ones on the bottom there, if you can get those raised, you're going to catch them. Let's see. All right, there we go. So yes, there's white perch there, white perch there, white perch there, white perch there. And then way more out here. The further we get into a little bit deeper water where they feel more comfortable, some good ones there. That might be a bass actually going through. And then there you go right there. So those are actually, they're kind of hugging the edge just a little bit further down than where I was. And we could catch one of those every single cast for the next probably hour if we wanted to stay out here and stay on those fish. So that's what I'm doing. As you can see, like I'm moving the pedal around. As you see that head move on the Garmin, that's where my Livescope's pointed. So if you watch that and you look at the screen, you'll see how many fish are actually out here staging, getting ready to spawn. And then there they are right there under the boat. And there they are again out there, big school out there, 60 foot away. From basically 40 to 90 foot, there's huge schools of them. So that's what I'm doing. That's how you find them right now. That's what I'm using for bait. You can use live bait on them, I think, on most lakes, but you don't really need to. As you can see, it's a lot easier just to hook up a little swim bait like that on a little tungsten head and go to town on them. I'm probably using like a 16th ounce or something like that. And I'll tell you, they are good eating. We might turn this into a catch and cook later on, but those are white perch here in the great state of Maine, and one of the best eating fish in the state of Maine. So I'll get back to you guys and check the comments later on. I wasn't able to check them out while we were shooting, but I'll try to get back to everybody. If you guys live local to me and you want some white perch, Let me know in the comments. I think I might have a few extra. We'll see how many Donnie wants. I gave him a crappie feed yesterday, and I still have a couple crappie in the bucket at home. So yeah, so if you guys want some and you live close, let me know, and I might be able to get you some tonight. You might have to flay them, but yeah. Otherwise, appreciate all the support, guys. Appreciate all the comments and you know, all the subscribers and sharing, liking, all that stuff. It's gonna be free for the rest of the week to subscribe to the channel, so take advantage of a free subscription, and that'll get you a lifetime free subscription right now. So appreciate you guys tuning in. Thanks again, and I will talk to you soon. Over and out. Are you sure you want to end the streaming? Yes.